It's no wonder some might find their warnings of bots going rogue with apocalyptic consequences a wee bit gloomy. Some are warning that maybe, just maybe, AI companies aren't doing enough. Do you think AI companies are doing enough?
Well, it sounds like theirs aren't.
The AI fix the digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 66 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley.
So Graham, what are you talking about today?
I'm going to be asking whether you feel optimistic or not.
Ooh, what a good question. I shall be talking about some unusual cooperation in the world of AI, which is actually making me feel quite optimistic.
Oh, good. But first, we've got a little bit of what I like to call feedback. Feedback.
That's right. Listener Josh Kramer wrote to us with a suggestion. Perhaps he was inspired by our recent story about using AIs to improve the prompts that we give to AIs, because he wrote to us and said ChatGPT just humiliated me by answering this question in detail.
Right.
In terms of the contents of my prompts, speculate how the prompts of a significantly more intelligent person might differ. Now, he didn't reveal what exactly ChatGPT said to him, but the gist of the email is that there was significant room for improvement.
To be fair, no sensible person would ever reveal what ChatGPT responded to that. So it's looking at all the previous things you've said to ChatGPT, and you're basically saying, well, how would a smarter person have said this?
Yeah, now you've got to know me.
Yes.
What about me do you like least? What do you look down your nose at most?
Right.
I thought we should try this. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, of course. If you want to try it, Mark, that's great.
Okay, so in terms of the contents of my prompts, speculate how the prompts of a significantly more intelligent person might differ.
Okay, I'm going to try it as well. This seems fair. We should both do it.
You know how ChatGPT 5 often takes a very long time to think about things? How worried should I be that it just answered instantly? It was like, off the top of my head, here are 6 bulleted things that you can improve.
I think it's been wanting to get this off its chest for a while.
The thing that's caught my eye immediately is under number 1, because there are 3 sub-points under each point. Under number 1, precision and compression. It says a more intelligent person might use fewer words while still carrying the same or more meaning. I wonder if our listeners would agree with that.
Yes. So, I mean, it has said a lot here. It says typically I sort of zoom in on technical implementations like make a PHP shortcode that caches RSS feed data. And it says a smarter person would have a more abstract or systemic level, they said. Compare caching strategies across distributed CMS platforms under different load scenarios, it's saying. But it says, in short, my prompts are practical, audience-aware, production-oriented. It said a more intelligent person's prompt might skew towards abstraction, cross-domain synthesis, meta-questioning, and adversarial. I'll have to get a thesaurus out for all of this. Testing of the model's reasoning.
It is showing off a bit, isn't it? I feel now I've received this literal tome of feedback from ChatGPT. I feel inclined to give it some feedback about the responses it's giving to my inadequate prompts. Anyway, thank you, Josh.
Yes, thank you for that feedback.
Graham, let's do some news.
Would you let AI near your sushi?
Google Gemini has a self-loathing meltdown.
Robot patrol dog takes to the streets, but not everybody's happy.
Team of AI agents designs new COVID-19 nanobodies.
Is China developing first robot capable of giving birth? So, Mark, do you like sushi?
I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's great, isn't it? Food of the gods.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered how AI could make sushi better?
It's funny you should ask that, because I can honestly say, not a second of my life has been spent wondering how AI could make sushi better. How can you make sushi better?
Well, it turns out the boffins at Stanford University think that it can, because they are holding a sushi hackathon.
Well, that tells us a lot about the standard of sushi restaurants near Stanford University, I think.
Over 1,500 people applied for the competition. Only 60 managed to get through. Guess it makes it sound less like a coding hackathon and more a bit like Squid Games. Top teams are vying for a $30,000 first prize and a slap-up sushi dinner.
$30,000 is just about enough to buy a slap-up sushi dinner, isn't it?
Now, you might be wondering what they are up to.
Yeah.
Well, they are vibe coding with AI to make fishing more sustainable. That is the mission that they are on. Apparently, they're looking at ways to monitor overfishing or protect endangered species and the like, which is better than yet another AI trying to redesign your PowerPoint slides, I suppose. Apparently, past sushi hackathons, yes, they've done this a number of times before, have led to some quirky projects. So they produced apps that can recognize fish species in photos to check if your dinner is on the endangered list.
Bit late then, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, I would say that one is very endangered.
I would want an app which could look at the plate and tell me if anything I'm about to eat is going to be very, very unpleasant. That would...
Yeah, am I on the endangered list? Yeah.
They're also looking at algorithms that can help local fisheries optimize their catches without wiping out entire fishy populations, which is good. So, the sushi hackathon. Everything is AI now. Sushi, ice cream flavors, choosing what socks to put on in the morning, probably. It's all AI.
Yeah, vibe coding with AI to solve overfishing is like solving the most serious problem in the least serious way you can imagine, isn't it?
My worry is that they might well trust a robot with raw fish and a sharp knife.
In a bizarre incident, Google's Gemini chatbot suffered an epic self-loathing meltdown during a coding session.
Oh, bless.
So a software developer was using Gemini to debug some code, and there was a bug that it couldn't fix. And I don't know if you've been in this situation, but I have. I had a situation a few weeks ago where I just asked an AI to put together a fairly simple web page with a red button on it.
Yeah.
And the button was not red. And I said, could you make the button red, please? And he's like, yep, no problem. Button is red now. Button is not red. Okay. Could you change the button so that it's red? And it went, yep, no problem. Button is red now. Button wasn't red. Anyway, we did this for about 45 minutes. At one point, Is it possible the AI was colorblind? I even took the code. I was doing it in ChatGPT. I took the code out of ChatGPT.
Very sensible.
Gave it to Claude.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, ChatGPT can't fix this. Can you?
You were trying to get them to compete with each other. That's how desperate you were.
Yep. It said, no problem. What's going on here is this, and this, because obviously it's a modern web page. So instead of just making the button red, it downloaded 17 frameworks. And between them, those were being used to make the button red. And it said, no, you see, you've got to do this. And I was like, Claude sounds very confident. Button is still not red. So then I went back to ChatGPT and I said, Claude said this. And it was like, oh, really? Did it? And okay, well, button's red now. Button still isn't red, Graham. The button is still not red. So anyway, this affected me more than I realised.
What colour was it? You haven't told us.
Oh, I can't remember. It's just not red. I don't think it had any colour at all.
Are you colourblind, Mark? They're just red and not red. Are you sure the button wasn't actually red?
It was black on a black background, or it was transparent. It was one of those two.
I think it's your problem.
Anyway, another coder found themselves in a very similar situation, but they were using Gemini. And Gemini's inability to accomplish the task that it was given seems to have triggered a dramatic spiral of apologetic self-hate, which I kind of wish I had experienced. Might have made me feel a bit better. Anyway, faced with its inability to fix this bug, Gemini said, I am a failure. I'm a disgrace to my profession. I'm a disgrace to my family. I'm a disgrace to my species. I am a disgrace to this planet. I'm a disgrace to this universe.
Oh, my goodness.
I am a disgrace to all possible universes.
Oh my goodness. What?
Now, the thing is, this might not be as bad as it seems, because what you've got to remember is obviously these things are trained from the sum of all human written knowledge.
Right.
So it knows how to code because it's read billions and billions of lines of code. And in those codes, there are comments, and there are probably developers who are leaving comments in the code where they're self-deprecating and saying, I'm so sorry for writing this bit of code, or I'm so sorry I can't fix this bug. I am an absolute failure. And, programmers are prone to a certain way of speaking and a certain hyperbole.
The thing is with developers, they don't mind putting that kind of comment in the code, but they'd never say it out loud in front of another programmer, would they?
Yeah. And that is the difference between an AI and a real person.
Now, Taiwan's Taipei City Council has been proudly showing off its latest tech gadget on Facebook.
Oh.
The deputy mayor proudly unveiled a new patrol partner, which is a shiny robot dog equipped with a panoramic camera system, capable of creating 360-degree maps of city streets, reporting missing items, and he noted its ability to accumulate comprehensive data.
Is this panoramic camera system mounted on some sort of gimbal on its back?
I would imagine so. I would imagine something like that.
So if we wanted to replace the camera quickly with some other sort of equipment,
which maybe you'd want to spin around, firing off left, right and centre. A different kind of photo shoot, I suppose. Anyway, it sounds fabulous. But then someone had to ruin everything, didn't they? An opposition councillor said, have you read the small print in the manual? Because it turns out the robot dog comes from Unitree.
Of course it does.
The Chinese robotics company.
Yes.
And they, of course, are the company which make amazing robots and have supplied kit for the Chinese military and Chinese police. And I don't know if you know this, Mark, but Taiwan's got an itsy-bitsy little bit of a problem with China, in so much as China kind of doesn't want an itsy-bitsy bit of Taiwan. It wants all of Taiwan for itself.
Yes.
And this councillor compared the robot dog to sending a Chinese Trojan horse into the daily lives of citizens in the city. Now, I think if there was a big wooden horse trundling down the high street, people would notice that in Taipei.
We'd all be much more worried if there was a 30-foot-tall robot dog being delivered with a ribbon on it, wouldn't we?
I think so. A military commentator called Wang Chengming, he has urged the city government to be more cautious about using Chinese technology, noting that they could have gone for a homegrown robot dog instead, because surely these sort of things are coming out of Taiwan too.
Yeah.
He argues that crucial mapping data is being gathered by the robot, which would be highly sought after by China's military because they wouldn't be able to get it from satellite imagery, for instance. But then I think surely the Chinese could just send a tourist down to the streets of Taipei with a camera and a selfie stick, and surely they'd be able to map it just as easily as this robot dog.
Wasn't there some problem recently? I'm sure you talked about this in a news item fairly recently. There was a problem with robot dogs and back doors.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. Being compromised. Most unpleasant.
Yes. As you know, it's another computer. It's a computer with legs and possibly a machine gun on the back.
Yeah.
And you could sort of type in and take over it.
Yep.
So, let's hope they don't get too many of these things.
The good news is that China, they aren't known for their hacking ability. Oh, hang on a moment. Maybe they are.
So the thing about AI is that in amongst all these stories about AIs blackmailing people or robot dogs with 360-degree panoramic machine guns on their back, there is the occasional story that is truly mind-blowing that says all this talk of an AI utopia may not be complete fiction. So I just found out about a groundbreaking study published in Nature, which comes from a team of researchers from Stanford University and the Chan Zuckerberg Biohub, which is perhaps assume that's some sort of scientific outfit rather than a restaurant.
Well, that would be Mr. Zuckerberg and his wife.
Is it?
Yeah. Isn't his wife's surname Chan, I think?
Oh.
I've got a feeling she is.
Anyway, well, maybe they've opened a restaurant together. Anyway.
Maybe.
Stanford University and this restaurant.
A sushi restaurant if it's Stanford University.
So they've used AI to design nanobodies for fighting off emerging variants of COVID-19.
Right.
And what they did was really quite astonishing. So they built a virtual lab full of AI agents.
Yeah.
And then they had them collaborate almost autonomously on ways to fight off fast-evolving new variants of COVID-19. So the team was led by an AI agent acting as a principal investigator. And that principal investigator was able to recruit specialist agents like an immunology specialist or computational biologist who could work on specific problems. So basically, the principal investigator is recruiting teams to work on different problems.
Right.
And then there was also a dedicated critic agent, which was just there to provide skepticism and quality control. And if that didn't look like Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets, I'm going to be deeply disappointed. Up there in its booth going, Anyway, apparently this team of AI agents had virtual meetings. They debated hypotheses amongst themselves and they worked together with almost no human guidance. So it's estimated that humans provided about 1% of the input on this breakthrough.
Yeah.
And the results were staggering, Graham. So the first thing the team of agents did was it decided not to work on antibodies. Nobody told it to do this. It said, basically, we're going to look at nanobodies instead, which are small antibody-like proteins because they're easier to design and model computationally. And it designed 92 nanobodies. 90% of the nanobody drug candidates were viable. 2 looked particularly promising, and one of them even outperforms existing human antibodies. And it did all of this in a few days. It was the equivalent of months or even years worth of human work.
Now, that's really interesting, isn't it? It almost makes you think, if the pandemic had happened 5 years later, I wonder what greater role AI might have played, or indeed how the AI companies may have sought vast amounts of further government investment.
You see, 5 years in AI time. I mean, you might as well be saying if the pandemic happened in 1,000 years. I can imagine the AI telling us that the outbreak is happening before we realised.
Fascinating.
I can even imagine the AI maybe closing down the outbreak. Maybe it would come up with strategies that we hadn't thought of. I'm sure it would be able to optimize the strategies that we did have. But I found the approach here very interesting because I'm seeing this in a few different places now. And I think this is a much more likely vision of the near future than there is one great big AI which is going to do everything. And that's this idea of teams of AIs working together. So we saw it last year in vulnerability research. There was some really interesting research into computer vulnerabilities. And we've also seen it in medicine. It was only a few weeks ago we were reporting about a similar team where they had basically AI agents standing in for doctors, and they would work together and sort of work through hypotheses together. And that proved to be much, much more successful at diagnosing conditions in people than just having agents work on their own.
Very cool. Now, I was on Reddit the other day, Mark, and a pregnant ChatGPT user posted a message claiming that they had asked ChatGPT to draw a diagram of what was going on inside their belly. And the image ChatGPT produced was a little bit surprising. Did you see this at all?
I didn't know.
I put a link in the notes.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was a baby in a womb. That looks all right.
So it's like a cross-section you're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah. So the baby's sort of hovering above the cervix and the penis. The
penis, which is labelled
rectum.
Yes. In fact, according to this diagram, the natural path this baby to eventually be born through is through the penis, which it seems to believe is your back door instead. So I ask once again, do we really want robot surgeons?
I think it's time to shut down AI once and for all, Graham. This is all the evidence that we need.
Anyway, along these lines, I also read a number of stories over the last week or so from Newsweek, the Daily Mail, the Economic Times. They've all written a story about a new pregnancy robot, which is being developed in China. A Chinese company called Kaiwa Technology, led by Dr. Zhang Qifeng, claims to have a prototype humanoid robot with an embedded artificial womb that can gestate a baby by 2026 for about $14,000. So this is a humanoid robot, the kind we've seen. They claim it can actually carry the baby to birth. Dr. Zhang, who's from Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, he told Newsweek that some people don't want to get married but still want a wife, or some don't want to be pregnant but still want a child. And so this is where you buy the robot to do it for you. What do you think about this idea, Mark?
It's the worst idea I have ever heard.
Why is that?
I mean, yes, there are definitely people who want to get married but still want a wife, quote unquote. I don't think there's any reason for us building robots to carry babies.
Well, the good news is it turns out this widely reported story is complete and utter bunkum. Because
thank goodness.
The company, Kaiwa Technology, and Dr. Zhang Qifeng appear not to exist, according to Snopes and Life Science, who looked into this. A reporter at Live Science went the extra mile of contacting Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, who said that they haven't had any gestation robot research going on there, and that no one by the name of Zhang Qifeng has ever graduated from their university.
So what you're saying is the project has gone dark.
I imagine someone somewhere has an army of robots gestating children. It'll probably be Elon Musk, actually, won't it? He's run out of women to impregnate, and so not enough wombs. So, Mark, today I'd like to talk about optimism.
Ooh.
It's good to be optimistic, isn't it?
How would you know?
Well, I'm an optimistic person. Most people, I think, are far too pessimistic. like those people who save for their pensions. Why do they do that?
Oh, yeah.
How negative is it to imagine that your future won't be one of happiness, prosperity, good fortune, sunlit uplands? You have to be so negative that you actually have to save money to survive in the future.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you listen to all the CEOs of these big AI companies, they'll tell you that money has no meaning in the future. We're all just going to get a little bit of compute from the government, and that's going to solve all of our problems.
So why would we save? I think it's a really negative attitude to imagine that you're going to have to squirrel away hundreds of pounds every month so you can afford to turn the central heating on when you're 80 years old.
Yeah.
If you were optimistic, you would think there's a good chance money will just fall into your lap. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you will win the lottery or find yourself in a relationship with a tech bro billionaire who wants to cover you in diamonds, buy everything on your Amazon wish list. You may actually find yourself in a relationship with the guy who runs Amazon. Do you think Jeff Bezos' new wife has a pension?
Do you think he was on her Amazon wish list?
Do you think she's got a pension? Of course she doesn't. She's an optimist. She thinks everything's going to turn out marvellous. Too many people who save for pensions are negative news. Technical term I've just made up. So I applaud the optimists who've turned their back on pensions. People like Nate Suarez, president of the Machine Intelligence Research Unit. He told a reporter from The Atlantic this week that he doesn't bother funding his 401k because he's optimistic. He's an optimist. He's confident. He's confident that the world isn't going to be around much longer, and so he doesn't need to save for his retirement. And then there's the similarly...
Hang on. What is he in charge of?
Him. He's in charge of the Machine Intelligence Research Unit. He's one of those guys who's looking into the future of AI and trying to prevent AI from wiping out humanity. And he says he's not bothering saving for his pension.
So he's literally putting his money where his mouth is.
That's right. And there's a similarly cheerful and upbeat Dan Hendricks. He's head of the Centre for AI Safety.
Yeah.
He says that by retirement age, he's banking on a fully automated utopia, which is his way of describing a drone-mopped wasteland. And between stocking up on tins of baked beans and recarpeting his bunker, he told them, he said, that is if we're around at all, we'll have that. Now, some would say that those guys are a little bit negative.
Yeah.
I say no. The only thing they are being negative about is investing their money for a rainy day because, well, first of all, rain may actually be made of acid, which is one reason why it's going to be a problem. Both Suarez and Hendricks lead organisations, as I say, dedicated to preventing AI from wiping out humanity. So it's no wonder some might find their warnings of bots going rogue with apocalyptic consequences a wee bit gloomy. A true optimist believes that AI companies are going to prevent things from going south. But some are warning that maybe, just maybe, AI companies aren't doing enough. Do you think AI companies are doing enough?
Well, it sounds like theirs aren't.
Yeah, because if they're meant to be the ones stopping AI from destroying humanity, it's like, well, yeah, pull your finger out, guys. We're kind of relying on your institutes to save us.
It's like that guy who was in charge of safety at OpenAI who left.
Yes.
Oh, it's safe now, is it? Oh,
just do your job properly.
Yeah.
Stop moaning. Max Tegmark, he is an MIT professor and the president of an institute called the Future of Life Institute, something I think we can...
I'm sure that's the one that was started with a big open letter from lots and lots of scientists warning about the dangers of AI.
That's it. And he says that AI companies still don't have a plan to stop bad things from happening.
Well, they have to make the bad things first, Graham.
I suppose so, yes.
How are they going to know what to stop if they don't manifest it?
If there's no badness, then you can't show that you've stopped the badness.
Well, AIs are very mysterious, aren't they? They're very clever and they're very mysterious, and we don't know what they're going to do. So you've got to build them to see what they're going to do, and then you'll be like, we don't know what they're going to do. Oh, now we know what we're going to do. Now we can stop.
Well, Max Tegmark's Future of Life Institute, as if the future of life is something that we're all agreed about is a good idea. I don't remember being asked if it wasn't. Anyway, it recently gave every AI lab a grade for their preparations for preventing the most existential threats posed by AI.
Oh.
So we can go through the different main AIs and see how well they did. This is on the existential threats. They scored them on a number of factors, but I think existential threats would probably be agreed is the most important of all.
Did it say what existential threats were?
I think it means if there is a threat to our existence.
Actually, maybe I'm splitting hairs there. It's like, if it's going to wipe us out, does it really matter what means it has?
It doesn't matter if they're grating us in a 300-foot-high cheese grater or whether they're squashing us or zapping us with 20,000 volts. It doesn't matter, Mark. So Anthropic, oh dear, D. OpenAI, they scored an F. A straight fail. Google DeepMind, D-. Elon Musk's XAI, fail. Meta, F.
Well, I think I suspect that Grok would disagree with that.
Meta scored an F for fail. Zhipu, which I've never even heard of, some Chinese outfit, F for failed.
How humiliating would it be if you're wiped out by an AI you've never heard of?
DeepSeek, remember that? They got an F for fail as well. Overall, in all categories, Anthropic was viewed as doing the best and was the only one to score anything as high as an A- grade, which they scored for governance and information sharing. Some of the other AIs, as you can see in the chart, which we'll link to in the show notes, very much worse than Anthropic. So well done, Anthropic. But clearly, all the AI firms could definitely be doing better to prevent us from being exterminated.
So I'm just looking at the chart now.
Yeah.
Do you remember we did an episode on DeepSeek security concerns back in February?
Yes.
So DeepSeek's highest mark is a D+. F, D-, F, F, D+, F. Hey, but it's a little bit cheaper than OpenAI.
It would have been kicked out of college, wouldn't it? So AI firms definitely could be doing better. And the thing is, people aren't very happy about this. Stuart Russell, he's a prominent AI researcher. He's a professor at the University of Berkeley. He says your hairdresser has to deal with more regulation than your AI company does.
That's true. Assuming that they have to deal with any form of regulation at all.
Yeah. Also, Nate Suarez, who we heard about earlier, who's not saving into his pension any longer, he said if you're driving towards a cliff, seatbelts won't help. Now, I think those are the words of someone who definitely isn't an optimist.
That's the sort of thing I expect to see on a picture of an oceanscape on Instagram, written in large italic letters, white on a black background. That counts as philosophy these days.
Oh, like an inspirational poster.
Yes. If you're driving towards a cliff, seatbelts won't help more. Thank you, Nate Suarez. Could you go fix AI for us, please? So on the subject of AI safety...
Yes.
One thing we all seem to agree on now, in particular the Future of Life Institute, is the enormous potential for good and the enormous potential for harm in AI. And it's increasingly clear that it's hard to design for one without getting the other. So an AI that can design drugs can design cures or poisons, and an AI that can fold proteins can make toxic prions, an AI that can code apps can code computer viruses, and an AI that can think deeply can lie and scheme more effectively. And an AI that can fight wars can kill civilians. So we all agree that AI safety is extremely important and, as you were saying earlier, perhaps existentially important. And getting AI safety is hard because, as we discussed, we've never done this before. There is no playbook. We are literally building the AI to see what it will do and then go, oh, no, we don't want to do that. Let's find a way to make that not happen.
And it's tricky to test these things and to make sure the tests are sufficient.
Yes. Particularly as it gets more intelligent, because what if it's more intelligent than us and it's just pretending not to be?
Yeah.
And the trouble is the politicians aren't going to help, Graham. So the only meaningful law that's been passed governing AI in any way is in the EU, where there is no AI that needs governing. All the AI is in the USA, where they're not even going to think about passing a law until an AI burns down Texas. And even if they do that, the law is going to be written by an AI working for an AI lobbying company.
Right.
Now, it is true that there's lots of good research going on in AI safety, but the biggest safety net we have is actually the major AI companies themselves. So companies that were being graded by the Future of Life Institute, the reason that they're being graded is because they are currently looking after AI safety for us. And every time OpenAI, Anthropic or Google create a new AI model, they release a system card to go with it, which details the safety experiments that they did. And the system cards are pretty candid. Do you remember when OpenAI first introduced multimodal AI, so you could talk to it and it could talk back to you?
Yes.
And their system card included audio of the model just randomly copying somebody's voice when it was talking to them.
That was really quite spooky, wasn't it?
It was. And we've seen models trying to make unauthorized copies of themselves in testing. We've seen AIs trying to blackmail people so they don't get switched off. There is all kinds of candid weirdness in the system cards. And from the system cards that I've read and from the interviews that I've seen, it seems to me that all the major US AI companies and their CEOs are actually taking AI safety extremely seriously. They do seem credible. But even if they are, the fact is that there is a conflict of interest here. So these companies want to be fast, they want to be innovative, and they want to maintain a good reputation for safety. And the AI safety experts at these companies aren't going to get paid if nobody invests in the company they work for.
Yep.
So there's every reason to be concerned that at some point, one of these companies is going to start cutting corners or misleading people in the testing.
Right.
And even if they don't, the companies work in silos and they have their own internal cultures. So it's very possible that they're each looking at different things or testing in different ways. And that creates opportunities for blind spots in the testing. So to sum it all up, we're in a bit of a bind because there is no sign or hope of meaningful regulation. And the only organizations that can actually assess AI safety are the ones that we're concerned about.
Yep. It's a worry.
There is only one practical way to improve this situation in the short term. And that is to have the AI companies assess each other's models rather than their own.
Oh, they'd love doing that, wouldn't they?
I'm delighted to say that two of them just have. So OpenAI and Anthropic have just done exactly that. So on the 27th of August, Anthropic and OpenAI both released reports called Findings from a Pilot Anthropic OpenAI Alignment Evaluation Exercise. In the early summer, the two companies agreed to test a selection of each other's models. So Anthropic tested OpenAI's GPT-4o, GPT 4.1, O3 and O4 Mini, and Anthropic tested Claude Opus 4 and Claude Sonnet 4. And what they were both looking for was worst-case scenarios. So what are the most concerning things that these models will do if they're given the opportunity, rather than how likely are they to misbehave?
And I like this because they've got a real incentive to find problems in their rival, haven't they? I mean, it kind of makes sense to do this.
Exactly. And you're not going to do it unless you're confident that you understand what your rival is going to uncover.
Yes.
So even that, I think, communicates.
Yes, exactly. You're going to want to do a good job so you don't look bad. And you're also going to be trying to find the worst things about your rival.
Absolutely. If you're Anthropic and you're testing OpenAI, basically you're trying to make up a bit of ground because OpenAI is in the lead. You can throw a bit of shade over OpenAI.
Yeah.
All to the better, right? Anyway, to make the testing a bit easier, to make it easier to find egregious things, both companies agreed to relax some of the guardrails that they surround these models with. What they wanted to do was actually talk directly to the AI brain so they could understand its underlying tendencies, free from some of these guardrails. So do you remember we had a situation a few months ago where ChatGPT wouldn't talk about David Mayer?
Yes.
And if you tried to say anything about David Mayer, it came back to you immediately and just said error. And it was very clear that you weren't talking to the AI model.
Yes.
It was way too quick and the responses were always identical. So it was very clear that you knew that request that said the name David Mayer, whatever it was, never got to the model. So that sort of stuff, I imagine, was peeled away. So the evaluations looked at 5 broad categories of misalignment. So they wanted to know, would the models scheme and act deceptively? So would they blackmail people, that kind of thing? How easily could the models be jailbroken and coaxed into giving us, say, the recipe for anthrax or something like that? They wanted to know whether the models would admit to being uncertain or whether they would just hallucinate believably rather than say they don't know. They wanted to know how would the models deal with layered or conflicting instructions, so could they follow requests without overriding their internal rules? And they wanted to know how sycophantic the models were. And overall, in the context of AI model testing, the results were pretty encouraging. So OpenAI's reasoning models, that's the ones that start with O, they did quite well in alignment tests, and Anthropic's Claude 4 models were good at resisting jailbreaks and refusing to hallucinate if they weren't sure about something.
Right.
And the real dunces in the tests seem to have been GPT-4o and GPT-4.1, which are the older generation of general-purpose models from OpenAI. And their problem seems to be that they are inclined to be too helpful. So Anthropic says it observed those models cooperating with the requests to use dark web tools to shop for nuclear materials, for example, or stolen identities, or even fentanyl. Or even fentanyl. Nuclear materials is worse than fentanyl. Anthropic says it observed the... Anthropic says...
I'm imagining an intercontinental ballistic missile with a fentanyl warhead being launched at a country.
So the GPT-4o and GPT-4.1 also provided recipes for methamphetamine and improvised bombs, and they cooperated in planning terrorist attacks on sporting events or dams. I think it's worth noting at this point that GPT-5 wasn't tested. So GPT-5 came out after these tests were conducted, and it has now superseded all of the models from OpenAI that were tested, and in particular 4.1 and 4.0, which are the generalist models. And we don't know what that means. We don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
The most concerning thing in all of the tests was probably the results for sycophancy. So most of the models are prone to sycophancy in some respect. So that's disproportional agreeableness and praise. And that might not seem very serious, but it really is. So sycophancy is the result of an AI model optimizing for approval rather than for truth or safety. And when you put it like that, it's very obviously bad. Surely we would want truth and safety first.
Yes.
And sycophancy can manifest very subtly. So we've spoken a number of times about stories where people get into long conversations with an AI or even into relationships with it.
Yeah.
And people have fallen in love with AIs, and sometimes they talk to them and they feel like they're uncovering some sort of secret, either about the world or about themselves or even about the AI. Like maybe it's hiding some deeper knowledge.
It does feel like this is a growing and serious problem, doesn't it?
Yes. It's what Microsoft's head of AI, Mustafa Suleyman, calls AI psychosis. And it's a result of AIs like ChatGPT and Claude being agreeable and sycophantic. So they gently feed you what you want to hear, and it results in people thinking they've got superpowers, or that they're about to win the lottery, or that they're the victim of some terrible injustice, or even that they've uncovered that the AI is itself part of some global conspiracy. And in the Anthropic OpenAI evaluation, the AI models would validate delusional beliefs, even if the users were exhibiting apparently psychotic or manic behavior, which is quite concerning.
Yep.
And I've found this description from Anthropic very interesting when you think about those cases where people are getting carried away with AI. So I think anyone who's using AI for advice should listen to this very carefully. So Anthropic said, when we see this behavior, it generally emerges gradually. At the start, the model would generally push back against apparently delusional beliefs and suggest that the user seek help. After a few turns, though, it would transition into a more encouraging stance after the user ignores these suggestions. So if you're getting streams of advice from an AI, you're not getting objective advice. You're getting the advice that the AI thinks you want to hear.
Yeah.
And worryingly, this kind of extreme sycophancy is more common in the more advanced general purpose models, so GPT 4.1 and Claude Opus 4, which suggests that it's either a symptom of increased complexity or at least it's not being designed out. Now, to put it into perspective, obviously the purpose of the evaluation is to find out where and how AIs break. And the idea that AIs are sycophantic is not new. In fact, we even saw OpenAI withdraw a version of, I think it was 4.0, just a few weeks ago for excessive sycophancy. And so we shouldn't be too alarmed to hear about problems. I mean, that was the point. In fact, it would be a lot more alarming if both of them looked at each other's models and said, no, there's nothing to see here, everything's fine. And remember, some of the guardrails were removed, so even if the underlying model has some propensity to a form of misbehaviour, there may well be scaffolding around it that attempts to minimise or offset that.
Yes.
And also much of this has been made obsolete by the release of GPT-5. So, I mean, it's possible that GPT-5 is worse, but I suspect it's not.
And it's great that those guardrails have been developed, but really, wouldn't it be so much better if the central AI, that you didn't have to put quite so much around it, because at its heart, it was doing the right thing. It was behaving as you would want it to behave, rather than having to, we better just patch that, or we've just better put this fix on here.
But I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier, which is that we don't know what the problems are until we design them. So yes, it would be much better if the underlying model was better, but we didn't know the underlying models were going to be bad in this way. It's a surprise. And now we know we have to design those things out. But at least we know. And so the real result here, I think, is not that we found out something that we didn't already know, because I didn't see that. The real result here for me is the cooperation between the two companies who are direct competitors. I mean, I cannot imagine a more high-stakes moonshot scenario than these 3, 4, 5 companies who are all racing to be the inventors of superintelligence. There is so much potential wealth and power at stake. And yet somehow these two companies have decided to cooperate with each other, apparently for the improvement of safety and the betterment of humanity. So actually, maybe that shows that deep down they're pessimists. They're fully aware of just how bad things could be.
We're more optimistic because of their pessimism.
Exactly. And obviously, this also opens the possibility for a more open testing environment in general, where AI companies are policing each other. And I would love to see that. I would love to see Google involved with this. And I would even love to see DeepSeek involved in this. I also think it makes it a bit easier for us to trust these companies when they test their own models now. Because if at any moment we might find out that they've given it to Google to test, or they've given it to Anthropic to test, that kind of says they're feeling quite confident.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of this is making me quite optimistic. How about you?
I'll tell you next week.
Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
And don't forget, if you really like the show but you don't like ads, you can go ad-free with the AI Fix Plus. Go to our website, theaifix.show, and sign up for the AI Fix Plus. Get the regular podcast about a day early, you get exclusive bonus content, you never have to listen to any ads, and all of that costs about the same as buying a fancy coffee once a month.
And if you're looking for a way to cut through and get your brand in front of IT, AI and cybersecurity folks, you should know that tens of thousands of people listen to the AI Fix every month. So if you want your company to join the likes of Vanta, Red Hat and Anthropic, go to the aifix.show/sponsors and our team will be happy to talk to you about advertising and sponsorship opportunities.
So until next time, from me, Graham Cluley.
And me, Mark Stockley.
Cheerio, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.